From 0 to 27,000 USD in just over 3 months. My student Carl made 15.5k alone last month in remote sales. And if you're in a job that you hate right now and you feel stuck, or you even feel that this is a scam, then this is a conversation that you must sit down for and watch. So yeah, Carl, man, it's good to like finally have you here, brother, man. We've been trying to get this obviously in for a few months now, and yeah, it's incredible to see like how fast things have happened, and I definitely want to share that obviously with the viewers today. But let's take it back to before remote sales, because I feel this has been like a whirlwind, like the last probably 5-6 months. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely could say that.
What was life like for you, like specifically like before remote sales? Like what was you actually doing?
So I mean, I'll go back a little bit. Like I lived in Australia for like the last 6 years. And then, the 2022, I met my partner that I'm with at the moment, and she was sort of in the whole remote space, making money online. And I think since we met, I felt a little bit of, I guess you could say, pressure
Yeah.
to do something like that. But I still worked in construction, and she had this idea that she always wanted to move to Bali, and it stressed me out because I was like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, we took the plunge last year, and we just moved over here. Before moving over here though, in Oz, I worked in construction. I did concrete.
Yeah.
And yeah, like money was good, things were comfortable, but we chose to get uncomfortable and sort of come to Bali and see what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then, tried a bunch of stuff before this.
What did you try before getting into remote sales then?
We sort of, as people do, like dabbled in looking at trading, and then realized that that was going to be a long road.
Yeah.
And coming to Bali, it was like living off savings. So I think I came here with like 20,000 Australian dollars. So I don't know, maybe that's like, I guess
Maybe
about
12,
12,
yeah.
13,000 USD.
Mhm.
And the plan was to find something. But she, my partner was sort of taking care of us, because that was she was like, I could take care of us whilst.
How did that make you feel, like knowing she was kind of putting everything on the table at that time? Like, because as a man, like we all want to be that person that can provide and obviously give them what they want, that safety. Knowing that she was that person providing, how did that make you feel, brother?
It was tough. Like, it was sort of the agreement we decided to make
Yeah.
for her own mental well-being, being in Australia whilst I was at work on our own all the time. So we decided to take the plunge, but like over time, it didn't feel good.
Yeah.
Like it was, yeah. And it brought more pressure, it was
Yeah.
kind of like, I just didn't really know. We tried like content, we tried TikTok, we tried looking at trading, we tried a few things, and it's just all these things seemed like a really long road, and nothing comes easy, but time was
Yeah.
ticking, in terms of money. So
But like, you kept looking, which I think is the most important thing. You tried trading, you tried some personal branding with TikTok,
yeah.
but you kept looking. And would it be fair to say then, like, how did you like actually find obviously RSA?
So yeah, I mean, I'll talk a little bit about my faith journey, because that's how it started.
Yeah.
I became a Christian in Bali, and met Sam from RSA at the church. And when I met Sam, I'd met him a couple of weeks, we'd chatted a little bit, we'd followed each other on Instagram, and then I saw him posting things like 2,500 pith. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
But it looked like he was making money online, so I was curious. So I had to message him, and I was just like, what are you
Yeah.
doing out here? Because I knew how much money I had in my account at this point, so I was like, I need to, just message this guy. He doesn't really know me that well, but we know enough. We know each
Yeah.
other enough to follow each other, and probably give a message and that. So I messaged him, and he was like, yeah, I just started remote sales, bro. Like, started explaining it to me. He told me it was like a fitness offer, and I was like, oh, cool. He explained it a little bit to me, but first things first, he put me in touch with you.
Yeah.
So he said you're the man to go to. So I
No.
did exactly that.
And it's beautiful to see how the church brought you guys together. And, and now obviously we're here. I feel like there's a lot of magic that can happen from that place from what we're seeing. And, yeah, like we obviously got connected. We had that Zoom call, and I remember, the situation wasn't great, what you was in.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to say the word desperate, but
No, I
there
mean,
was
we can talk about it.
there was desire to get yourself out of that situation
Yeah.
which we was in. And, I don't know if you remember, but when we were talking, I know it's for a good like about hour and 20 minutes, because I was even unsure of myself, or like the amount of pressure that I've got to take on my shoulders. And if I remember, we really found out, obviously, like, that, would it be fair to say you just did not want to go back to like Scotland? That was like the last resort. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think one of the big things was like we brought our dog over here,
Yeah.
which is quite a big deal because you can't really get your dog back out of Bali to go back to Australia, and it was like the pressure was, we literally risked everything to come over here, and yeah, it was starting to, I was down to my last 9,000 Australian dollars. So that's about 5.5, 6,000 USD, I
Yeah.
think. So I was down to my last pot of money, and I came across you, and
Do you remember? Do you remember what I said to you on that call? Obviously, you were with Cassie at the time as well, so there was like even more pressure, knowing like that
yeah,
you wanted to step up and make that change, and start providing.
yeah.
And do you remember what I said to you on the call on Zoom?
I do remember you saying pressure makes diamonds, but I don't know
Yeah.
if that's what you're talking about.
No, it definitely does. Pressure definitely makes diamonds. It molds people into, this hard rock that can just keep persisting through pain. And that's exactly what you did at the start. And we'll get down to that in a moment. But I remember just saying to you, like, I made a promise that there's no way that you're going to go back to the UK.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I was like,
you did, and do you know what? I trusted you. Like I really
yeah,
did. Like when we had that call, like I felt really comfortable. Like you had Cassie wanting to do it as well, But yeah, and just if we rewind a little bit before that, she had actually lost half of her income.
yeah,
So the reason that, savings ended up getting blown through, because that was supposed to be emergency money, whilst
yeah,
we looked for something, but she lost half of her income and could only fend for herself. And that's why the savings ended up getting burnt through until the point I was at when I came to you. And it was just the right time, like the
yeah.
right time. It could have been a little bit earlier,
Yeah,
but
I see it a lot, obviously, entrepreneurship, becoming a nomad. Like, everyone wants to become a nomad,
mm,
but it's not easy. There's a lot of moving parts to a business. You have to be able to market yourself really good, have a really good personal brand. You definitely need to be able to sell, but then you need to be able to fulfill. And I think a lot of people are realizing that the vehicle of remote sales is you only have to do one thing, which is have a conversation with someone, and,
yeah,
and basically help, change their life. And what I love about you was that you just trusted the process, and you just said, let's do it.
mm,
And yeah, after the call, I was just like, I said to Alicia, I was like, I've just put some serious pressure on my
mm,
shoulders, but I know I can help this kid. And I was just like, let's see how good I really am. And we just got to work. And at first, like, explain like how much you knew about like sales just in general, because I feel like most people probably on the outside now watching this, they hear sales and they probably look at the car salesman or the real
yeah,
estate guy.
yeah.
Like, what was your kind of perception or belief system around sales in general?
Wolf of Wall Street
Yeah.
was one of them. Yeah, that was like
Yeah.
probably the most recent sort of thing. Like
Yeah.
there was a time in my past like where I did work in sort of like the bar restaurant industry, and I had people in the past tell me
Yeah.
like, I think you would be someone who would be good at sales. Just customers that, I'd be looking after. This was years and years ago, back when I was in Scotland, like this was like 9, maybe 10 years ago. And I was like, maybe I'll get into car sales one day, and maybe I'll get into something like that. Maybe I'll get into real estate. And that was something I had thought about in the past, but that's what I thought of sales as. And
Yeah.
and I didn't know shit, to be
Yeah.
honest.
No, like I say, I feel a lot of the old way of sales,
Mm,
and especially where obviously I come from, doing the home improvements like door canvassing, it's tough.
mm,
You have to be able to handle rejection.
yeah.
Um, and sometimes when you're brand new to sales like yourself, you kind of don't know anything different. So you can, like you say, learn the skill that you need and go off like a bottle of pop. But you need a considerably strong mindset to be able to persist through that rejection. So talk to me a little bit about like when you was working obviously in RSA with myself, like what do you feel kept you going? Because there was a part, I would say, near the start of
Mm,
when you was getting on the offer where it was a little bit tricky to say the least. And it was kind of like at the end of
mm,
the year in December, but
yeah.
I don't want to use that as an excuse,
No.
but it was tricky. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially when there's a lot of other people around me making sales, like,
Yeah.
I can't use Christmas as an excuse. Like,
Yeah.
um, so it was tough. Like, I think I put a lot of pressure on myself because of, just paying in full to you, to
Yeah.
having a little bit of money left. And then I think when I actually started working on the offer at the beginning, that's probably down to like, I don't know, like one and a half, probably like $1,000, like USD. So there was pressure there. And when I started, I think I had high expectations. I'd done all the training with
Yeah.
you. I'd watched, all the trainings. I'd watched the videos. I actually thought I was going to go in and crush it. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to make a sale my first week. I'm going to make a
Yeah.
sale my first few days. Like,
Yeah.
I was really like, yeah, I just thought I was going to come in and kill it. And everyone else did, like some of the boys in the team thought I did. I think part of you thought I was going to, but it didn't really go that way at the beginning.
No, it definitely did. But what I like about your character, Carl, is that, we would speak obviously, on the phone, on Zoom, and, you know, we just said like, look, you just need to give it more time.
Mm,
You just need to put more reps in.
yeah.
Um, there was obviously that little bit of anxiousness around,
Yeah,
obviously,
huge.
and this is what I want to share for the viewers.
Mm,
It's like, if you've never done sales before, like, and you're going into something completely different,
mm,
like, it's the fear of the unknown,
yeah, for sure.
and it's literally kill or be killed. So when you're in that environment, especially on an offer like you are, there's a lot of competition.
Mm,
So already it's like, I've done the training and now I want to go and get the same results as, this person.
yeah,
So you put a lot of pressure on
yeah,
yourself. And I feel that's what you did. But what amazed me was like the mindset that you had of just like, I'm just going to keep going
yeah,
because I know I'm close.
yeah,
And then it just like went like a snowball.
yeah. I think that's one of the beautiful things about throwing yourself in the deep end.
Yeah.
Because, and this is for viewers as well, people who are in their jobs and they're comfortable and they're doing this on the side, and it's like, oh, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't.
Yeah.
I think for those people, just quit your job and do it,
Yeah.
because then you've got no choice but to make it work.
Exactly. And I love that. It's like, the way I see it is when you burn the boats, right? What is the worst thing that is going to happen? Is that maybe you don't make it. And if you're young enough, you're like, I don't want you to quit your job if you've got a family and you've literally got to pay the mortgage next month. That would be stupid.
Mm,
But if you're young enough to be able to just burn the boats and go all in, well, the worst thing is that you don't make it. You go back to a safe job and, you just might have a little bit of a dent in your ego. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, if you don't try, you're never going to know.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel when you do burn the boats, and I think maybe for the viewers, I would like them to know like how resilient your mindset is, because you actually got down to, correct me if I'm wrong, was it like 100 AUD or 200 AUD?
It was 88 AUD before I called my dad for a bit of help.
88 AUD.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So not only did you not have any money in your account,
Mm.
you probably at that time just started sailing. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I think I'd been sailing for like maybe 3 or 4 weeks. I
Yeah.
think about 4 weeks. I'd been sailing for about a month,
Yeah.
I would say, when I was down to that 88 AUD,
Yeah.
and I hadn't earned any money yet. No, like, you know,
Yeah.
I was stuck. Like, that was tough.
Definitely.
That's the first time I've had to call my dad for money since I was like 20 years old. So
Yeah, and that's what they're there for though, at the end of the day. And, thank you, like, to your dad for obviously doing that,
yeah,
because I feel like that really helped your psychology to be able to keep going in your mindset. Um, yeah, and I just believe like when you knew that it's either going to be this or I have to go back, I think what the most beautiful thing is that you've seen other people come through RSA and they were getting the results and they were crushing it.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm not just talking one, there was like another 3 people on the
yeah.
offer at the time. So what do you feel RSA helped you with the most to make sure that you didn't chuck the towel in? Because we know most people on your
Yeah,
offer, it's an incredible offer,
yeah.
and
Oh,
but they don't last.
but it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's not an easy offer.
Why do you feel like RSA kind of helped you just to keep going?
Because I think you were always, number one would be the mindset. I think you were always honest. You were always transparent. You told me going on to an offer was going to require me to eat shit at the beginning and potentially, you know, have that initial phase where it was going to be difficult. Like,
Yeah.
I know there's all these things on Instagram, how to make money easily.
Yeah.
It's not easy, man. Like, it's not,
No, nothing's easy.
you know what I mean? Nothing like when it comes to actually being in a place like Bali or working remote, it's not easy. Like, it's pressure. And I think the way that you trained me, because I'd never done sales before, I was fresh to you, and the way you trained me with the mindset and just the way you taught me the basics was just like,
Yeah.
I'll forever be grateful for that.
No, and I appreciate it, brother, because I can only lead you to the water at the end of the day, as they say. You've got to drink yourself and fish for yourself, And that's what I love about you, is because you just are a student of the game. You just keep learning every day.
Yeah.
You're telling me that you're learning obviously this, you're learning this new thing.
Yeah.
You're going out there getting more training, which I commend you, because this is why we've got the results that we've got. Um, the mindset is massively important. And I feel like, there are a lot of different, obviously, ways to sell in this game in remote sales, but it's all pretty much come back to the same thing. It's just being able to create a gap. If there's no
Yeah.
gap, there's no willing for someone to change.
Yeah.
Instead of going into the full process, but that's just the name of the game.
Yeah.
But it's the student's mindset to be able to handle the competition around them and not let that affect them internally, but also having the ability to be able to show up every single day, like knowing, am I going to make money today?
Yeah.
Because when you come from that employer's mindset of
Yeah.
that 9 to 5, I'm on, 20 quid an hour or whatever, it's like, you don't know what you're going to earn that day.
Yeah.
And for you to keep turning up, like for, I think it was like 3 weeks and didn't make a dime,
Didn't make a sense.
I was like, a few people on the offer, they annoyed me. I'm not going to lie. Like, they was like, I don't think he's going to make it.
Mm.
And I was like, no, he is.
Mm.
We ain't stopping until we get to where we need to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, at the time, I didn't know that people were saying that, of course, because that would have been more pressure if I knew that people were saying that. But the biggest thing I'd say would be to anyone would be stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what other people are doing. Just do your thing. invest in yourself, get help,
Yeah.
and just keep improving a little bit every single day.
No, definitely, bro. And you're a credit to RSA, like with what you've been through and what you've done. So let's talk about, the good stuff.
Yeah.
What remote sales can give you,
Yeah.
if you actually are willing to put the work in.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to sit here and say to everyone that it's easy, because it's not.
No.
But the way that you structured your life now, I'll be honest with you, you've got a better day than me. The way that I'm obviously hearing how many hours you're working, because you're not doing 8, 10, 12 hours a day
No.
like some people.
No.
So yeah, what does a typical day look like for you here in Bali right now?
Yeah, so I wake up in the morning about 6:20.
Yeah.
I have a shower, I read my Bible, I pray, I open the laptop at 7 o'clock and get on calls.
Yeah.
Take calls. I think this is really important, is just structuring work hours. I think getting into the life of remote sales at the beginning, I was a bit confused about how to structure my day, but I just treat between 7 a.m. to 1 p.m., so 6 hours a day, as my work hours, and that's my work hours. No one talks to me, nothing happens in those hours other than work, and I just take calls,
Yeah.
stick to the process that I like to follow the systems that I've sort of created for myself, and work until 1 p.m. and then I'm done.
Six hours a day.
6 hours a day, yeah.
Okay, so you're working 6 hours a day in Bali, and let's, let the viewers, like, I've got the numbers in my head, but
Mm-hmm.
from yourself, like, first full month
Yep.
on the offer,
Yep.
because we want to give them some realistic expectations of like what's possible.
Yeah.
It's not going to be at the end,
Yeah.
even though what you did in such a short time
Yeah.
is absolutely mind blowing for that offer as well.
Yeah.
So January is your first full month,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep.
Still brand new to the game.
Still brand.
What did we bring in January?
So my comms commissions in January, I think, was just shy of 3,000. I think it was about 2,900 and something.
Yeah.
USD. And
Which,
that started everything,
but
That was
even if it was just to stay at that, which is not what we want,
no.
but here in Bali, you can still stack money.
You can comfortably live
Yeah.
on that in Bali.
Yeah.
You really can. And that's the amazing thing about being here as well, is like when I hit that,
Yeah.
I knew that I was going to be
possible.
okay, because I'm used to working in AUD, and that was 4,500 AUD for me. And I was like, right, 4,500. There was a point in Australia years ago where I made $1,000 a week, and I paid rent, and I lived life there, and life was fine, So to me, I was like, right, I'm in Southeast Asia. I'm in a place where that's fine, and that started everything for me in terms of the belief that gave me for my following month.
Oh,
Knowing I had a bit of money behind me, knowing the pressure was a little bit less, that changed everything, I think.
yeah. And yeah, like we might as well share then. Like month 2, like literally tripled, if I'm fair to say.
More than tripled, yeah. Month 2 was over 9K.
I was nearly 9K
The
USD.
9.3K USD was my second month in sales.
Wow.
Which I couldn't believe it at the time. I remember I texted you and I was like, mate,
Yeah.
I was like, I just saw what I'm gonna get paid.
Yeah.
And I was out on date night with Cassie at that point, and I was just like, look what I've just done in my second month, and she was super chuffed, and
Yeah.
that was a shock of a moment. I was like, because you never really know what's coming in with your commissions, because there's like refunds and
Yeah.
you get bonuses and all of this sort of stuff. And I just didn't really know. I expected about 8 or something, and I saw that 9.3, and I was like, man.
Yeah.
So that was
It's getting paid, but it's also when you first start something new and it's online, there's a lot of maybe skepticism of like, am I even going to get paid?
yeah.
Those thoughts even come into your head. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of closers out there that have had bad experiences like that. But that's what we do at RSA, is that we want to make sure that we vet those offers to know that they have the stability, they're legit.
Yeah.
They may not be the easiest,
Yeah.
but believe you me, we know you're going to get paid.
Yeah.
But I feel like what's just happened for March is it's up there on that offer. Like, let's just talk facts. There's over what 300.
It's over 500 now. I
500.
checked it, I think yesterday, is like 547 or something like that.
And let's just be realistic. I'd say half of them are probably not doing a fat lot. Yeah.
No, yeah, there's part-timers and there's people on their own offers and everything like that. So
And where did you finish up out of, like, let's say those 500 people?
third
In
in the whole company, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, for coaching sales, yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So that was yeah.
So what did we bring in for March?
So month number 3 was 15.5K.
15.5K USD.
Yeah.
And where we're from is what, the UK, so that's about, I don't know, just call it 12.
£12,000, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. I've never made that much money in my life.
Yeah.
I never made as much as I made the second month of my life
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
So that, like, but this month last month, I made more in 1 month than I'd ever made over 2 months.
Yeah.
So
In Bali, working 6-7 hours a day max.
yeah. And I would be nowhere near hitting that when I was
Yeah.
working, like really working hard in the heat in Australia, doing concrete, working 10-hour days,
Yeah.
coming home, like just being absolutely knackered, struggling to keep my eyes open, home for 3-4 hours, back to bed, up again. And that was, I think that was maybe about, I don't know, like 1,700-1,800 a week I was getting paid
Yeah.
for that. And that was, to me at the time, that was really good money. It is really good money,
Yeah, of course. It's
it is, but to not have to get up and go to work.
yeah.
And I make sales from my bed, I do, like,
Yeah.
because we only have a 1-bedroom villa at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful villa, like super grateful for it, but we have like a living room, kitchen, open area,
Yeah.
and we have the bedroom. And Cassie works in the living room, so I take the bedroom, and that's where it all happens,
And that's it.
Yes.
This is where we are right now. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's 27K plus
Yeah.
in your first 3 months.
Yes.
You're on track to do 6 figures easy in your first year ever in sales.
Yeah.
And in remote sales. So you now, Carl, literally have the vehicle to go wherever you want to.
Yeah.
You can take that laptop wherever you want.
Yeah.
And even if you want to go on holiday, because it is hard for us to switch off, you can pretty much work 3 or 4 days and that would pay the whole 2-week holiday.
Yeah. And it's funny, actually, last weekend, so Cassie's family's actually here at the moment, and last weekend we went away for the weekend, and I never really I think I'd left like my villa to work like one time in the past since starting this, and I'm not like superstitious or anything, I just like, but we went to a little bit north of where we live last week, to Ubud and Bali, and we all stayed in a villa, and I worked 4 hours on Saturday.
Is that where you made $1,000 and like
No, that was, I worked Saturday morning for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I made 3 sales and made $420.
Yeah.
Just by taking.
But that's because you now have the skill set,
Yeah.
which no one can ever take away from you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the viewers need to realize. It's like all of this can happen once you acquire the skill.
Yeah.
But it's not just acquiring the skill, it's consistently keep putting the work in every day. Like Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi don't become the best in the world because they get really good and then stop training. Like, you have to keep showing up for yourself and you need to keep sharp. It's like a sport at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important for people, that are interested in remote sales to understand that, 1, it's not going to be easy. 2, it's definitely going to test your mindset.
Yeah.
And 3, if you can't handle rejection, I wouldn't even bother getting into it.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is that it is actually possible for anyone to achieve this if they just don't quit. And it might mean that you don't make money for the first 1 month like yourself.
Yeah.
But if you would have quit, you never would have had this $27,000.
Yeah.
Which I am fucking beyond proud of you and what you've done for RSA. And what would you say from your experience as someone who's like still brand new, you're still a rookie, but you're absolutely cleaning it up? There's a massive, massive future for you in this space and with RSA.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say to someone that's on the outside right now?
Yeah.
They've probably seen people in the remote sales space, they've seen people in RSA. What would be your advice to someone who's maybe on the fence
Mm.
and they're like, "Oh, I don't know if it's gonna work," or, "Oh, I might go and do this." Like, what would your advice be?
Um, I think it would be, I think, just get uncomfortable. Like, I think, you can really, it's all limiting beliefs. Like, I think you can really do, because everyone sees stuff on social media, right? And
Yeah.
everyone has their perspective of pretty much everything being a scam,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
And, you just can't think like that in 2025.
Yeah.
I think just if you're considering getting into remote sales, do it and become obsessed, and it will change your entire life.
Sure.
And I think anyone can see what's possible. And even if you make $500 in your first month, you make 2,000 in your second month, like, never quit.
Yeah.
Never quit. I think, yeah. And I think one thing is, if you can throw yourself in the deep end and become obsessed,
Yeah.
because there's no better feeling than sitting wherever you want, making sales, and, knowing that you're in control of that income.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like this is just the start of your whole like entrepreneurial journey,
Yeah.
you know? You tried other things and they didn't work. You kept going. And I see for most people that come into this space, you don't just learn sales.
Yeah.
You learn how a business actually runs.
Yeah.
All of the moving parts. And then you might even say, well, I don't even want to start a business
Mm.
because there's a lot of moving parts. But
Yeah.
it gives you the foundation that if you have something that you're seriously passionate about,
Mm.
all you need to do is create leads,
Yeah.
make sales, and fulfill.
Yeah.
And if you can do the sales really well, then you just have to find other people to be able to do the rest.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you have a very, very successful business. Sounds easier than said,
Yeah.
but I see you doing big, big things in this space.
Yeah.
I think this is just a stepping stone.
Mm.
I believe we'll have 20K USD
Yeah.
month this year.
Yeah.
I believe we're probably on track this month for easy, 8, 10K easy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
we're halfway through the month, and I'm halfway to where I hit last month. So on track to maybe have a similar month.
Yeah.
Be,
Wow.
but yeah, I've already made good money this month, so, like, I really can't complain. Like, I'm really grateful, and really grateful to be a part of what you're building as well.
Yeah.
Because you do really look after your students, you do bend over backwards for them, and knowing that I have someone like you, it's helped me a lot.
No, I appreciate it, brother. That means a
Yeah.
lot, man. We're not only just, friends now. I feel like we're like brothers because what we've had to go through together to kind of get to where we are now,
Yeah.
it's special.
Yeah.
And I think we'll leave it there, man. But
Yeah.
I can definitely say the stakes on you.
Yes, for sure. All right. Can't thank you enough.
All right, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah, nice one.